first thing is really get pre-approved, but I want to go before that, the pre-thing that you need to do before getting pre-approved. So it's the beginning of the year. A lot of people have goals to purchase. If you want to purchase, start saving money. Start checking in on your credit score, see what that is, make sure you're paying those people on time, no new debt, things like that. So do some pre-work, get yourself in a good position. And, we're not lenders, but we know when we're doing the right thing or not
Yeah.
financially. So we know if we're paying our bills on time. We know if we're saving money. We know if we're running our credit cards up. These are things we just know. So even though the pre-step is just doing the work, do the work first that you do know. Do the things that you do know. That's the absolute very first step. And again, just to reiterate, save, um, don't take on any new debt, and make sure you're paying your bills on time. That's the very first thing, even before we get to the actual home ownership journey.
Yes, the mindset, getting yourself in the mindset of saving, paying your bills on time, paying off debt. And the next step is to talk with the lender. You can either go on your own and talk to someone at your banking institution, or you can contact your local realtor, one of us, me or Tony, and we can refer you to lenders who can help you. And
Absolutely.
I'll go ahead, Tony.
No, absolutely. So definitely, you can reach out to your real estate agent. You can go to your bank. Sometimes I will say the bigger banks, you may not get as personalized experience. That's not
Hmm.
always, but if you have a relationship with the lender, you're watching Shari's live. If any people that know me are watching, you can always reach out to me and we'll let you know who we work with, who we can vouch for, and we can refer you to a reputable lender also.
Yes. And what are lenders looking for so the pre-approval, you have to get that done because it increases your contract. It goes along with your contract, and it increases your chances of your um, offer being accepted because
Correct.
you've been vetted by a financial institution. They've looked into your credit. They've looked into your debt to income ratio. So you want to get that done first. And what are some of the things that they ask for, Tony?
So you definitely want to have your credit done. A lot of times I talk to people and they're like, I don't want a hard pull on my credit. You need a hard pull on your credit. There's no
Yeah.
baby step. There's no way around it. If the lender can't check your credit and find out exactly what's going on with you, they can't do anything. So the pre-approval is the roadmap. Shari and I can't even help you if we don't have that pre-approval. So the pre-approval tells us how much in taxes you can afford.
Hmm.
It tells us how much house you can afford. It tells us a number of things, what areas you can realistically afford to look in, what property type you can get. It gives us all of the information. I always tell my clients when I'm doing a consultation, that is my roadmap to working with you. When I get your pre-approval, then I know how to best guide you and the advice to give you. So they're going to need to run your credit. They're going to ask you about employment history, and they're going to look at your debt to income ratio. Those are the main things. I'm not a lender. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to
Yeah.
be. Those are the main things. They want to know how much debt do you have, how much income do you have, what is your credit score, and also they need to make sure that you're going to be able to pay that mortgage. So you have income that is consistent. They're going to be looking at your work history. How are you getting income?
Yes. And then once you get that pre-approval, that is when you sit down with your realtor, and you had said it before that you sit down and you do a consultation and figure out what neighborhoods you can afford, what tax brackets you can afford. And then also we go over what you actually want in a home, and your wants and needs in a home. And what are some things, Tony, um that you really want your client to focus on when you're doing your consultation? Like, what's the most important piece
So
that you
for
feel?
me, I'm going to always bring it back to the pre-approval because everyone's situation will be different. Depending on what that amount is, you may have initially said, I want a single family home in this area. And then once you get the pre-approval, you may find out that you can do more than you thought you could, or sometimes, a little less. So that single family may be now a townhome or a condo. And it depends. Everyone's focus is different. I do want you to get what you want. Sometimes getting what you want is getting in that school district, even though the home is a little smaller and it may not be a super modern home. But again, that's just the baby step, the entryway, the gateway into getting into the market. But we won't know that until we get the pre-approval. So the absolute, if you don't take anything else away from this live, have a conversation with the lender and get pre-approved. And then after that, you're ready to hit the ground running. Yes, we have a consultation and talk about your wants and needs, but that's all stemming from what that pre-approval letter says. And then at that point, that's when the fun starts. You've done the hard part. You've gotten your pre-approval. Yes, you will have to still be getting some documents and things over to the lender. But at that point, you can start having fun. You're actually getting in the properties. You're looking at stuff. Another thing is people don't want you in their home without a pre-approval.
Mm-hmm.
You could be in the joint for all they know. So I have people call me and they're like, hey, I saw a home. I want to see it. And that's great. I'm happy for you. But we can't go in that home if you're not pre-approved.
Yes, absolutely. And I know I like to focus on because I know people's expectations are really high going into this process. And I just want people to understand that you're not going to find everything you want in a home. So as long as those major things like the systems of the home are working properly and in good condition, up to date, the roof and stuff like that, because the aesthetics of the home can be changed. You can always come in and do upgrades, or you can always change the paint color, but making sure that the home is in good physical condition, I think that is very important too.
That's definitely a good point. And back to what I said earlier, a couple of my clients who bought their very first home with me in 2017, 2018, now fast forward to 2023, they're getting the home that they want.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't always get what we want immediately. Sometimes we do, depending on that pre-approval. But let's go ahead, get pre-approved, get your foot in the door in that neighborhood, in that, house, build some equity. Like you were saying when we first got on, when you were talking before I got on here, that lady's house that brought 10 years ago, now she has a decent amount of equity. Now she can
Mm-hmm.
go to the location that she wants to go to. So again, it's going to be a case by case scenario of what each person wants. Some people really want an upgraded home, but they don't mind if it's smaller. So it really depends on that person. But that's what that consultation is for us to find out what you need and what works best for you.
Mm-hmm. So once we go on the search and we find the home that we love, um, or that you love, and you want to put in an offer, what do you think is like the most important thing to focus on when you're putting in those offers?
So you want to be ready before we even get in the offer. If you've saved, if you've done everything that you need to do, granted, if we're out in the house, you have your pre-approval. But the more work that you've done up front, the less stressful the process is going to be. So the offer is going to be crafted for you. Somebody might need closing costs. Another party might not need closing costs from the seller. So when you're purchasing a home, there are several things that you have to be able to pay for. We have a lot of great programs now with the down payment. It used to be like save for the down payment, save 20%. Now, everybody's hearing save 3.5. But there are
Mm-hmm.
some great programs out there now where you don't even need to have any funding for your down payment. Yes, you do still need money, and we'll get to
Yes.
that probably in a second, but you can get a no down payment loan. So there are some great products out there if you don't have a ton of cash saved that will still allow you to purchase. But it's just going to depend. You're going to get out and do that search. And I personally will craft the offer for what you need. If you need closing costs, we're going to talk about crafting the offer that way. If you want to get a little bit off the top and you have your own money saved and you can pay your own closing costs, maybe we'll negotiate a little bit off the top. But again, that's why you're going to have that conversation and consultation with your agent so they can craft an offer that's best for you and help you get the house.
Yes. And you said earlier you have to make sure you're saving money first. And one of those reasons why is because once you do go under contract, you have to have earnest money. And earnest money is like it's called a good faith deposit. It's kind of like a deposit when you go and get a rental. Usually $1,000, sometimes more. I've seen some homes ask for $5,000. So it just depends on which home, but for the most part, it's at least $1,000 that you want to put towards your earnest money.
So a good rule of thumb
Mm-hmm.
is 1% of the purchase price. So if your home that you're going to purchase is 350, then you want to have 3,500 bucks. So in my marketplace, and typically the south suburbs, south side of the city, you're going to need at least 1% of the purchase price. Sometimes even to make your offer a little more competitive, it may be more than that. But those are the things you have to save for. Even if you're doing a home buyer grant, you still need the earnest money. There's no escaping that. So if you, when you're saving, when you're getting those tax refunds back, and if home ownership is on your mind, you want to be saving for definitely your earnest money. Earnest money is like the equivalent of your security deposit when you're renting. So yep.
And then once you go under contract, you've submitted your earnest money, it's time for inspection. I was thinking before we started, before we talk about inspections, you've been doing this for 7 years. Have you ever seen anybody purchase a home without doing an inspection?